by Saturn's stern gaze. Welcome back to the Transits Guide 2025 on Satya Astrology. Today we tackle the September 21st solar eclipse in Virgo, and the truth is simple. This is where your life needs a reset. Eclipses are turning points, and this one carries the South Node signature of decrease, release, and letting go. Virgo brings the scalpel. We will cut the clutter, name what must end, and show you how to make space for what actually works. You want specifics for you. You will get them. I will walk through every rising sign and point to the exact life areas asking for closure, cleanup, and course correction. You will leave with one clear action to take. Ella joins me to keep the strategy practical and focused. Have your chart ready, use whole sign houses, and take notes. Stay to the end for the rising sign takeaways you do not want to miss. Let us begin. By the blazing constellations, Ella, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Arlo. It is always a pleasure to be here. I have to say, the more I learn about eclipses, the more I see how crucial it is to understand the difference between North Node and South Node eclipses. They really do carry such different tones.
Absolutely. And this one on September 21st is no gentle friend. Unlike the North Node eclipses that bring increase and expansion, this South Node eclipse is about narrowing down, releasing, and letting go. Think of it as the universe asking us to reset.
That feels very Virgo to me, focusing on what is essential, cutting away the excess, and putting things back in order, almost like a cosmic detox.
Perfect description, Ella. Remember, a solar eclipse happens when the moon slides in front of the sun, cutting off its light. Since the sun is tied to vitality, vision, and purpose, an eclipse here often signals an interruption, a disruption, or a powerful reset.
And historically, eclipses were never taken lightly. I can imagine why ancient kings in Mesopotamia would have seen something like this as an omen.
Exactly. Light being blocked is no small matter in traditional astrology. And since this one is a South Node eclipse, it will not be about gaining but about surrendering. It is life removing something that is no longer aligned with your growth.
Which can be tough, but also necessary. Depending on where Virgo falls in your chart, this could show where you need to release, simplify, or let a cycle close.
Well said. And that is where the art of delineation comes in. We can see what area of life is being reset by looking at the house it touches in your birth chart. But before we get into rising sign predictions, we need to meet the real driver of this eclipse.
Ah, the bound ruler, of course. Who is steering this Virgo reset?
By Saturn's solemn weight, you guessed it right, Ella. It is time to look at Saturn, the ruler of the bound where this eclipse occurs. Let us roll up our sleeves. To interpret any eclipse, the first question we must ask is this: which bound does it fall in? For September 21st, the eclipse falls in the bound of Saturn in Virgo.
That feels very different from the Pisces eclipse earlier this month. Back then, Jupiter was calling the shots, bringing generosity and optimism. But now Saturn is in charge, and Saturn always brings a heavier, stricter tone. At least in Virgo, it is not in detriment though, right?
Correct. Saturn in Virgo is not exalted, but it is not in fall either. It is steady, but often harsh. I have observed Saturn in Virgo to be highly critical, sometimes to the point of nitpicking. To decode what this bound really means, let us apply the keyword approach. Now, Ella, what do you think of first when you hear the word Saturn?
Structure, discipline, rules, and limitations. It is the planet of lessons, and they are rarely easy. Saturn is strict and serious, and yes, in traditional astrology it is cold and dry.
Exactly. Well remembered. And now Virgo?
Virgo is Mercury's earth sign, precise and analytical. It deals with details, efficiency, problem solving, and in medical astrology, it rules the digestive system. It can be a bit dry, but it is excellent for refining and improving things.
Wonderful. Put those together and what do you get?
Let me try. Saturn's strictness combined with Virgo's precision could create harsh judgment, obsessive control over details, or authority figures who act like taskmasters. On a societal level, it might mean censorship of information or rigid control of data. On a health level, maybe digestive issues. And since this is a South Node eclipse, those themes could tie into release or reduction, like clearing away excess, cutting what no longer works, or letting go of overly harsh expectations.
By the blazing constellations, Ella, that is exactly it. The South Node asks us to decrease and Saturn in Virgo asks us to prune with precision. This eclipse carries the tone of strict edits, harsh evaluations, and trimming life down to what is absolutely necessary.
A cosmic audit, you could say.
Perfectly said. And now, to understand how all of this plays out in practice, we need to look at Saturn's actual placement during the eclipse. That is the next key to decoding this Virgo reset. By Saturn's solemn weight, now comes the crucial step. Let us look at the bound ruler of this eclipse, Saturn itself. And right now Saturn is retrograde in Pisces.
That's fascinating, because retrograde Saturn in Pisces almost mimics Saturn in Virgo. It doubles down on themes of discernment versus confusion, clarity versus vagueness.
Exactly. This eclipse really highlights the Virgo-Pisces axis. On one side, Virgo insists on order, detail, and structure. On the other, Pisces leans toward openness, dissolution, and even chaos. Together, they create tension, and under this eclipse many people will feel pulled to clean up their lives, set firmer boundaries, and let go of routines or habits that have outlived their purpose.
That actually matches so well with the South Node symbolism. Cutting down, reducing, simplifying. This eclipse feels like a cosmic nudge to strip things back to what matters.
Well said. But here is the warning. Saturn can be severe. In this climate, you could prune too harshly and remove something you actually need. Discernment is key.
Quick check, Arlo. Is Saturn in detriment in Pisces?
No, Pisces is not Saturn's detriment. That would be Cancer or Leo. But Saturn is not particularly strong in Pisces either. It tends to struggle here because Pisces is fluid and boundaryless, while Saturn craves walls and definitions. Saturn in Pisces often acts like a moat around a castle, isolating, keeping things apart.
That makes sense. Isolation and separation as the cost of maintaining order.
Precisely. And since Saturn is retrograde, it is retracing old ground. Many of you may find yourselves revisiting issues from earlier this year. Matters you thought were finished may resurface for review, especially in the Pisces part of your chart.
Ah, the classic retrograde déjà vu. The universe asking us, are you sure you've really dealt with this?
By the blazing constellations, yes, that is exactly how it works. And now that we've set the stage with Saturn, let us widen the lens and examine how the other planets are shaping this eclipse. They too have their say in where your life may need a reset.
So Arlo, compared to the last eclipse, this one feels a bit heavier. Are there at least some bright spots we can look forward to?
By Jupiter's mighty thunder, yes, Jupiter is still exalted in Cancer, and not only that, it is in its own bound. That means Jupiter has plenty of dignity and plenty of power. Even better, it casts a trine to Saturn and a sextile to the Sun and Moon. Translation? Jupiter is sending its generous light to the main players in this eclipse.
That does sound reassuring. And Venus has just slipped into Virgo on September 19th, right? So we do have another benefic present.
True, but Venus in Virgo is a bit of a tricky guest. Virgo is Venus' fall, so she struggles to act in her usual way. Instead of pouring wine and dancing, she's got her spectacles on and is pointing out where the curtains are crooked.
I actually know a few Venus in Virgo people who treat criticism as their love language, so I guess we might see more refinement and less romance.
Exactly. Venus in Virgo can turn its eye towards service, detail, and even self-improvement. It may not be romantic in the conventional sense, but it can help us polish what matters.
A glass of wine with spreadsheets instead of candlelight dinners?
Well put, but yes, sometimes the unusual expressions of Venus can still be useful.
And what about Mars? I feel like Mars is always stirring up trouble somewhere.
Mars is still in Libra at the time of the eclipse, which is its detriment, so it feels awkward there. But here is the good news. Only one day later, on September 22nd, Mars enters Scorpio, its nocturnal home. That means a sudden shift from indecision to intensity.
Oh, I can imagine. Mars in Scorpio is no joke. It cuts right to the core, and people with strong Mars placements will feel that gear shift instantly.
Yes, indeed. After months of diplomatic wrangling in Libra, Mars in Scorpio sharpens focus, desire, and determination. And later in October, Mars will form a grand water trine with Jupiter and Saturn, so the emotional undercurrents will be very powerful.
So Venus is refining, Mars is intensifying, and Jupiter is trying to send some light into the picture. That makes this eclipse more about serious evaluations, right? In work, health, relationships, basically in all areas where Virgo and Pisces themes are strong.
Absolutely. This South Node eclipse is ruled by Saturn, which already pushes us toward decrease, refinement, and closure. Add in Venus in Virgo and Mars in transition, and you have a sky that insists on trimming excess, focusing on essentials, and demanding discipline.
And Mercury in Libra at this time probably adds another layer. Communication, diplomacy, and negotiation might be emphasized, especially in relationships or partnerships.
Exactly. So to sum up, this eclipse is Saturn's show. It is about pruning, refining, letting go, and getting real. It may feel heavy, but it can also bring clarity about what no longer belongs in your life.
A reset, in other words. Which brings us right back to the title of today's episode.
Perfectly, said Ella. And now, let's do what everyone's been waiting for. We're going to break it down sign by sign, so you know exactly where this eclipse will demand release and refinement in your life. By Mars's fiery spark, Aries risings, this eclipse lands in your 6th house, the house of work, health, routines, and even pets. This is a practical, roll-up-your-sleeves kind of reset.
So for Aries folks, it is less about big dreams and more about daily life?
Exactly. And because this eclipse is tied to the South Node, it carries the theme of release. It is time to clear away what is not serving you. Maybe you have been overworking, ignoring your body, or being far too harsh on yourself. These patterns are coming up to be purged.
Could this show up as actual health issues?
Yes, very much so. Virgo rules the digestive system, so pay attention to your stomach, stress levels, and how self-criticism may be affecting your well-being. This eclipse is a cosmic nudge to prioritize both physical and mental health.
And what about work life?
There could be changes with coworkers, shifts in your job environment, even a restructuring of tasks. Pets fall under this house too, so they may need extra care or attention right now.
So the message is clear. Let go of what is unhealthy or unsustainable.
That's right. Think of it as a detox, clearing clutter from your body, your mind, and your work life.
Does Jupiter bring any support here?
Absolutely. Jupiter is shining from your 4th house, which means home and family are your anchor. When the outer world feels unsettled, leaning into family connections or creating a nurturing home base will give you strength and stability.
Key takeaways for Aries risings. Release unhealthy routines and ease up on self-criticism. Watch your digestion, stress, and overall health. Expect shifts in work or with coworkers. Pets may need extra attention. Treat this as a full detox. Body, mind, and daily systems. Lean on home and family for grounding support.
By Venus's radiant light, Taurus risings, this eclipse lands in your 5th house, the house of joy, creativity, romance, and children. Sounds fun, right?
So does that mean this will be a lighter eclipse for them?
Not quite. Remember, this is a South Node eclipse, which brings themes of decrease and release. The cosmos is asking you to take a hard look at how you approach fun and pleasure. Have you been overindulging? Or maybe joy has turned into something draining instead of fulfilling. This is your cosmic reset.
And since the 5th house rules children, could this also show up there?
Absolutely. You may need to step into a more responsible or disciplined role with children. It is less about carefree play and more about setting healthy boundaries and stepping into maturity where it is needed.
Interesting. What about friendships and social life?
Great question. Saturn is retrograde in your 11th house, which directly opposes this eclipse. Old friendship patterns may resurface, even people from the past. But more importantly, this is a time to cut ties with friendships or groups that no longer serve your growth.
That sounds like a pretty big shift in their social world.
It is, but here is the silver lining. Jupiter is blessing your 3rd house of learning and local connections. New hobbies, new skills, or community ties can fill the gap. Branching out into local activities or taking up a new interest could bring unexpected joy.
And what about love and relationships? I know Taurus always keeps an eye on those.
Mars is about to move into your 7th house of partnerships. That can stir up tension or even conflict in relationships. But do not panic. Sometimes Mars brings just enough heat to force issues into the open so they can finally be dealt with.
So for Taurus risings, it is about refining joy, reassessing friendships, and facing relationship challenges head-on.
Exactly. Key takeaways for Taurus risings. Reevaluate how you approach fun and pleasure. Cut back where it has gone too far. Step into a more disciplined role with children or creative projects. Old friendships may resurface, but it is time to let go of connections that no longer support you. Look for new hobbies, skills, or community ties to bring fresh joy. Expect turbulence in relationships as Mars moves into your 7th house. Face it with honesty and courage. By the blazing constellations, Gemini, this eclipse lands in your 4th house of home, family, roots, and your emotional base. This is a deep reset at the foundation of your life.
So we could see real changes close to home.
Exactly. Some Geminis may move, downsize, or reorganize the household. Others will look hard at family dynamics, the past, and the story you have been living inside. It is a sober review of where you come from and what still supports you.
How does the 10th house piece fit in here?
The 10th house of reputation and public life is activated by opposition. This brings a mirror. How are you seen in the world? And does that match the truth of your private life? This eclipse invites a disciplined edit of your public image. If the story others tell about you is outdated, it is time to reshape it.
So it is a balance check between private life and public life.
Precisely. 4th and 10th are a seesaw. The South Node in Virgo asks for clearing at home so your public role can stand on solid ground. Expect clarity and possibly hard truths about what must change.
And is there any support while they do this work?
Yes, Jupiter moves through your 2nd house of money and resources. That is a cushion. Even if home or career feels wobbly, there is room to grow your material base, set a smarter budget, or invest in what you truly need for stability.
Key takeaways for Gemini rising. Expect shifts at home or within the family. Moving or downsizing is possible. Reflect on the past and strengthen your foundation. Reassess public image and career direction with clear eyes. Balance family needs with professional demands. Lean on growing financial support from Jupiter in the 2nd house.
Moonlit tides and lunar mysteries. Cancer risings. This eclipse activates your 3rd house of communication, learning, siblings, neighbors, and your daily environment. It is a reset for your everyday life.
So this could be about projects or community ties coming to a natural close.
Exactly. You may wrap up a writing project, a course, or a hobby you have been practicing. You might also take a sharper look at your neighborhood, your commute, or the way you organize errands and messages.
How does the 9th house factor in here?
The 9th house speaks to faith, philosophy, and higher learning. With Saturn involved, you are asked to treat these topics with seriousness. If you are still studying, it points to steady work and discipline. If you have finished a program, it is time to reflect on what you learned and how it shapes your beliefs.
It feels reflective, like pausing to evaluate before the next step.
That is the tone. This eclipse is less about chasing something new and more about assessing where you stand with knowledge, beliefs, and daily structures.
And Jupiter in the 1st house should help, right?
A great help. Jupiter in your 1st lifts confidence and self-worth. Even if you are questioning studies or community ties, you have more courage to choose what supports you and to release what does not.
Key takeaways for Cancer rising. Wrap up writing, study, or hobby projects that are ready to complete. Reassess your community ties, neighborhood rhythms, and commute. With Saturn touching the 9th, be disciplined with study and thoughtful about faith and philosophy. Jupiter in the 1st boosts confidence and clarity about next steps. Use this eclipse to balance everyday curiosity with deeper wisdom and reflection.
By the blazing constellations, Leo risings. This eclipse lands in your 2nd house of money, possessions, and resources. Finances are right at the center of your reset.
So for Leo risings, this could feel like a big audit of their wallet and their stuff?
Exactly. You may feel called to tighten your budget, rethink spending habits, or declutter the things you no longer need. Think of it like Marie Kondo astrology. Only keep what truly adds value, and let go of the rest.
That's refreshing. But how does the 8th house come into play here?
The 8th house deals with shared money, debts, taxes, and inheritances. This eclipse can shine a light on responsibilities you may have been avoiding, like repayment plans, investment reviews, or financial agreements that need to be cleaned up.
So this isn't just about what they own, but also about what they share or owe?
Precisely. It is a South Node eclipse, so it's all about letting go of unhealthy financial ties, cutting waste, and releasing emotional baggage tied to money. Do that, and you set the stage for a much stronger foundation.
Sounds like a reset they cannot ignore.
Well said. Leo risings, take this as a call to be responsible, disciplined, and intentional with both your money and your possessions.
Key takeaways for Leo rising. Budget carefully and trim unnecessary expenses. Declutter possessions, keep only what truly supports you. Take a disciplined approach to debts, taxes, or investments. Release financial or emotional ties that drain you. Build a healthier and more stable foundation with money and resources.
By Mercury's swift wings, Virgo risings, this eclipse lands in your first house. The spotlight is on you, your identity, your body, your health, and how you move through the world.
Any health issues in the mix?
Possible. Virgo rules the digestive system, so pay attention to digestion, stress, and how anxiety might show up in the gut. Support your body, and remember the first house is about identity as well.
So this could feel like a real moment of self-reinvention.
Exactly. You may feel the urge to refresh your style, change your look, or shift how you show up. But this is a South Node eclipse. It is about release. Let go of outdated versions of yourself rather than tossing everything at once.
So no extreme detox or dramatic purge. More like a careful edit.
Right. Keep what is vital. Release what no longer serves the person you are becoming. Precision over drama.
And the 7th house piece. How do relationships factor in?
The 7th house rules partners and close allies. You may revisit past connections, redefine boundaries, or clarify expectations. Ask what you truly need from others and what you will not compromise.
Virgo can be sharp under an eclipse. This calls for grace as well as discernment.
Well said. Use your keen eye wisely. Make grounded choices, but avoid harsh criticism of yourself or others. Aim for clean lines, not cutting words.
Key takeaways for Virgo rising. Expect shifts in identity, self-image, and appearance. Watch for possible digestive system issues and support gut health. Release old versions of self without rushing into extremes. Revisit relationships and refine healthy boundaries. Clarify standards for love and partnership. Use discernment with kindness, not criticism.
By the harmony of the heavens, Libra risings, this eclipse touches your 12th and 6th houses, which makes it a bit of a heavy one.
Why those houses in particular?
The 12th and 6th houses deal with health, routines, hidden struggles, and the stress that builds beneath the surface. The 12th house can stir up emotions you usually keep tucked away. This eclipse is like a cosmic reminder to pause, reflect, and face what has been simmering quietly in the background.
That sounds intense. How can Libra risings actually work through it without feeling overwhelmed?
Simple, practical tools: journaling, making lists, and quiet reflection. Write down what you are truly feeling, even if it is messy, and remember to treat yourself with kindness. This eclipse is about cutting out harmful habits or situations that drain you.
And on the 6th house side, that is where work and routines come in, right?
Exactly. The 6th house is about your daily patterns, the work you do, and how you care for your body. This eclipse could push you to set firmer boundaries at work, improve your diet or exercise habits, or create a schedule that supports your mental and physical health.
So the goal is to strip away the noise and distractions, and build routines that actually nurture you.
Well said. This eclipse can feel challenging, but if you take it as a reset moment, it can plant the seeds for healthier, more balanced patterns that last well beyond this lunation.
Key takeaways for Libra rising. This eclipse highlights the 12th and 6th house axis, mental health, routines, and hidden stress. Journaling and list making can help you sort through emotions. Be kind to yourself and release harmful habits or draining situations. Set boundaries in work and health routines to stay balanced. Focus on building sustainable daily patterns that support both body and mind.
By the blazing constellations, Scorpio risings, this eclipse lights up your 11th house, with the South Node pulling energy away from friendships, groups, and long-term goals.
So this could really be a moment of truth in their social circles, figuring out who's truly aligned with them and who isn't.
Exactly. Some friendships may naturally fade, especially if they no longer support your growth. And it may not always be about you. Sometimes your friends are going through endings in their own lives, and that changes the dynamic.
So it is not just about people, but also about hopes and aspirations. The 11th house is also about your big dreams.
Right you are. This eclipse asks Scorpios to think critically about their ambitions. Which goals are still worth pursuing, and which ones are draining your energy? Pruning back can make space for something more authentic.
And with Saturn retrograde in the 5th house, the other side of the axis, this feels like a review period, especially with kids, creative projects, or even romance.
Indeed, Saturn retrograde here can bring back old creative endeavors or force you to get serious about how you spend your leisure time. Less mindless fun, more purposeful creation.
And Mars, their chart ruler, is moving into the first house. That sounds like a surge of power.
By Mars' mighty will, it is. When your chart ruler moves into your first house, you feel a burst of drive, confidence, and physical energy. Just be careful. Too much intensity can burn you out or lead to health flare-ups.
So the reset for Scorpio risings is about friendships, goals, and creativity, letting go of what no longer serves, while channeling energy into what matters most.
Precisely. Cut away the noise, strengthen your true connections, and step into this new cycle with clarity and discipline.
Key takeaways for Scorpio risings. Friendships may end, especially those that no longer support your growth. Reevaluate your long-term goals and aspirations. Saturn retrograde in the 5th brings reflection on creativity, romance, and children. Old projects may resurface for a disciplined second look. Mars in your first house boosts energy and drive. Pace yourself to avoid burnout.
By Jupiter's mighty thunder, Sagittarius risings, this eclipse lands in your 10th house of career, reputation, and public life. It is a reset of your title in the world. Let go of labels that no longer fit. Care less about applause. Care more about whether your goals match who you truly are.
That sounds perfect for Sagittarius energy. Reflection over noise. Purpose over other people's opinions.
Exactly. Use this moment to think critically about your direction. Write your goals, rank your priorities, and trim what does not serve the mission.
And what about the 4th house side of the axis?
The 4th house is home, family, and your private roots. Discipline lives there now. Get organized at home. Create a simple cleaning routine. Finish projects you parked in a corner. Reflect on family dynamics, even patterns from childhood that shape how you lead and how you work.
Their chart ruler is Jupiter, and it is in the 8th house. How does that help?
Jupiter in the 8th brings growth through shared resources, investments, and deep bonds. Trust the right allies. Review financial arrangements with care. Inner transformation is available when you lean into honest intimacy and mutual support. It steadies you while the public role shifts.
Key takeaways for Sagittarius rising. Release old ideas about reputation and outdated public labels. Write down goals and clarify priorities for a true north in career. Get disciplined at home, clean, organize, and finish what is unfinished. Reflect on family patterns and lessons from upbringing. Draw strength from shared resources and deep connections with Jupiter in the 8th house.
By Saturn's stern gaze, Capricorn risings, this eclipse lights up your 9th house of studies, beliefs, travel, and the big picture. It is a reset of your worldview. Ask what truly matters and what you can release so your perspective stays sharp and useful.
That sounds healthy for Capricorn. Fewer distractions, more clarity. If you are in school or taking a course, this can help you decide what is worth your time and what is not.
Exactly. Be selective with teachers, topics, and timetables. Simplify the syllabus of your life.
And the 3rd house is the other side of the axis. That brings in community, communication, and your immediate environment. It feels like a nudge to give a hobby or area of interest more structure and discipline.
Well put. Tune your daily speech and routines so they support your larger philosophy. Ask if the way you write, talk, and post helps the people around you or harms them. Ground big ideas in everyday practice.
There is also support. Jupiter is moving through your 7th house. That can bring encouragement through a partner or a trusted ally. Fresh perspective arrives through honest conversation.
Precisely. Let wise counsel steady you while you edit your beliefs. Keep what is essential. Release what is noisy. Then aim higher.
Key takeaways for Capricorn rising. Reflect critically on your worldview. Keep what serves. Release what does not. Be discerning with studies. Cut distractions and focus on essentials. Give a hobby or interest more structure and discipline. Align daily communication with your values and support your community. Lean on partners and close allies. Jupiter in the 7th brings helpful perspective. With Aquarius risings, we are back to the 8th and 2nd house axis. But this time the spotlight is on the 8th house. That's money, yes, but also some deeper themes too, right?
By the blazing constellations, exactly. The 8th house is not just about shared resources, taxes, and inheritances. It can stir up reflections on mortality itself, what truly lasts and what slips away. It pushes you to face uncomfortable truths, and through that, to reset your perspective on wealth and legacy.
And since Saturn is working in the 2nd house, That really puts the focus on personal finances and stability.
Correct. The second house is your income, possessions, and the resources you directly control. Saturn here demands responsibility. This eclipse is a wake-up call to budget carefully, cut out waste, and be clear about what actually supports your long-term goals.
So it is not just about crunching numbers, but about creating a stronger foundation.
Precisely. Think of it as pruning a tree. You trim away the weak branches so the healthy ones can flourish. Release what is draining your energy and your wallet, and focus on building real security.
That feels empowering. Aquarius risings can use this eclipse to make their resources more sustainable, instead of scattering their energy.
Well said. And remember, Aquarius, your choices now can shape not only your bank account, but also your sense of legacy and stability for years to come.
Key takeaways for Aquarius rising. Reflect on shared resources, debts, and mortality, the deeper 8th house themes. Budget more consciously and cut away draining investments or expenses. Focus on the long-term picture of financial stability, not just quick fixes. Use this eclipse to create a foundation that is sustainable and secure.
By Saturn's solemn weight, Pisces risings, the eclipse falls in your 7th house of partnerships, so the spotlight is on relationships, romantic, business, and even close allies.
So this is really about the people they're closest to, their partners, collaborators, and confidants.
Exactly. This eclipse could bring a critical moment where you ask, does this relationship truly serve me? For some, it may mark a natural ending. For others, it's a chance to recalibrate and set healthier boundaries.
That sounds intense, but it's not just about pointing fingers at the other person, is it?
You're absolutely right. With Saturn in your 1st house, the mirror swings back on you too. This eclipse asks, are you holding yourself to the same standards you demand from others? It's about fairness, balance, and taking responsibility on both sides of the equation.
So it's not just are they right for me, but also am I showing up in the way I expect my partner to? That feels like a big reality check.
Precisely. And the beauty of this moment is that Jupiter, your chart ruler, is moving through your 5th house. That brings in joy, creativity, children, and hobbies as sources of support. So even as you navigate serious questions about partnership, there's lightness and play to balance it out.
And with Mars about to move into their 9th house, doesn't that stir up action in travel, studies, or beliefs?
It does. Mars in the 9th pushes you to expand your worldview. You might clash with someone's perspective or dive into new studies that challenge old ideas. Either way, it fuels growth and fresh perspective.
Key takeaways for Pisces risings. Relationships are in focus. Some may end, others will be rebalanced. Hold yourself to the same standards you expect from your partner. Reflect on what you want from partnership and what you offer in return. Jupiter in the 5th house brings joy through creativity, children, or hobbies. Mars in the 9th stirs energy in travel, learning, and beliefs.
And that brings us to the end of our journey through all 12 rising signs. Remember, this is just the overview. The real story unfolds when you see how the eclipse connects with your unique birth chart. Check if it touches a planet in your chart, because that's where the reset hits hardest.
And if you don't know your rising sign, head over to astro.com. It's free, easy, and we've dropped the link in the description. And of course, share your rising sign and experiences in the comments. We love hearing how these transits show up in your lives.
Keep questioning, keep refining, and always keep your eyes on the skies. Eclipses like this don't just shift the heavens, they reset the story of your life.
And if you're curious to dive deeper into Saturn, we've got the perfect episode for you right here. Don't miss it.
Until next time, fellow seekers. Bye.
Bye.